Hey everybody, Matt with 74 Airstream, and on today's episode I'm going to be working on this wing window from the front side of my 74 Overlander Airstream. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking this apart. The window gaskets are on order, so that'll be in the next video on how to get it all reassembled. But I'm going to show you how to take this guy apart. This is a dual pane with glass on the inside and outside, as well as this is a single sash frame where this center sash actually separates into its own piece. So we'll bring it a little closer and you'll see exactly how it gets done. So to remove this inner frame, we're going to remove, there's two screws, both straight slot screws, 1 and 2 on the bottom, and 1 and 2 buried underneath this, all of the caulking, so I just have to scrape that all off. So let's go ahead and start with that. You want to make sure that you get these screws nice and cleaned out, because if you can't get the screwdriver in there with a nice seat, there's a good chance that these seats will strip out. So let's get all the old caulking out, and then you should be able to get a screwdriver in there nice and firmly seated. So as you can see on the end of the wing window, there's actually two screws that will get out. Those are just straight slot screws that we'll be able to pull out as long as they're not too corroded inside the frame itself. So let's give it a shot. Now that we got the 4 screws out, we can go ahead and start prying this inner frame off, and that should be able to start us on the path of getting this window out of here. See a bit of a gap in here that we can get a pry tool in and slowly push our window out of this frame. And then we have the glass out. Continue on getting this 2 panes of glass separated, because right now they are still glued together with sealant, as well as the external vinyl glazing. So let me just get rid of the frame underneath here, and then we'll continue on. So one thing I do recommend is putting labels on your glass so you know exactly which one is which, because they are slightly different sizes, as well as they're skinnier at the top than they are at the bottom. So skinny top, and then I use a wing street external, and then on the other side I have a wing street internal. So that's how I know exactly which location these go back into. So let's peel this vinyl glazing off. I got new stuff coming, so I don't have to worry about damaging this, even though it is nice and old and 47 years old. So lots of crud in here. So next up, you'll see there is a foil type tape. I find it easier if we cut that off just from both panes. This will allow us to remove the butyl sealant in here a lot easier. See where there's actually glass particles in here. So I'm not sure what that's from. Next up, you'll see that here we're at the butyl stage here. So what I found it to be easy, just because I've done it with trying to run a knife down one side. Got really hard to pull that knife through. So what I ended up doing is actually pushing a blade in, and then you can pull it up, and then simply continue to pull it right out. No need to use a sharp blade and risk it slipping and hurting yourself. This is just a nice and easy, little slower way, but it gets most of the butyl out of there. If it gets stuck, just go back in with putty knife and continue pushing it up. Now that we got these panes both separated, what we're going to do is go ahead and scrape all the remaining gasket off the edges. Always be sure to keep a nice fresh blade, and in my case I just broke the blade. It's got a nice new one in there. I definitely suggest buying a large quantity of these because you're going to go through a lot of them, especially if you're doing a lot of windows. Both of these panes disassembled, I'm going to go ahead and get these cleaned up off camera, so they just have a bit of grime left on them from the butyl around the edges, and then as well as throughout the window itself from me just touching it. So be sure to subscribe because you'll get a notification for my next video, which should be the reassembly of these panes into their original frame with the new gaskets. So be sure to stick around. One of those.